Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get going. Welcome to the primary residence multifamily class. I am actually really excited about this because um, I have preached to my children. I have four sons, and I just keep telling them, think through this. You're 20, you're 22, you're 24, you're 26. Think through the fact that if you invest in real estate right now, add 30 years to where you're at right now to the mortgages you're getting, you're 51, 52, 53, 55, 56, retiring with anywhere from one to four properties paid off, and you've done nothing but just make the payments. It is that simple. Just make the payments. Anyway, so when we were talking about what to do for pops and products, I straight up said, "This one's mine. This one's mine. I'm going to do it." The hardest part that you deal with multifamily is most of the four units don't have down payment assistance, but there are two programs that allow minimum down payments, very minimal down payments, really, when it comes to the big picture of things. Minimal down payments meaning 3.5% if you go FHA, if you're going to occupy it, or 5% if you're going to go conventional, if you're going to occupy it. Big deal here. So I'm going to go through, this is going to be maybe a little bit more intense than your startup class when it comes to investing in multifamily. I am talking to first-time home buyers, people who have no flippin' clue what they're doing to get into the market, and you are who I want to talk to. Okay, so here we start. I I searched the internet. Actually, I didn't. Kaya, my faithful assistant, searched the internet and found me two properties that were currently listed, and we ripped them apart. They don't look very good on paper, but they do when you get done with the whole big circle of how this all works. So hang in there with me. And then I talked to one of my real estate agent friends and I said, "Hey, what do you know that's not on the market that we can kind of spotlight?" So I actually have three properties that I'm going to be able to go through and a couple of different pieces on each one of them. So hang in there with me. I'm going to go super, super fast, but super, super slow. Yes. Okay, here we go. So primary residence, multifamily, four unit. That's what we're talking about tonight. Here's my cute little thought. House hack your way to financial freedom. Does that not just sound great? Like hack your way through to get housing and become financially free. Hashtag 30 years from now. Um, how about we turn your first home into a future fortune? I think that is really something you should think about. I'm going to buy a first home and it's going to be my future fortune. Think big. Just think big. So here we go. Let's talk about this street or this address. It's 2137 State Street here in Idaho Falls. It is currently being listed by Jacob Markovitz, and I called and talked to him today, asked him a couple of questions about rental, and I want to play at the purchase price of 640,000. It is currently listed for a little bit higher than that, but I wanted to play with this number just for the I'm not a realtor by any means, but I just looked at how many days on the market and I'm thinking, oh, maybe we could wheel and deal a little bit and we could get this down just a little. But 640,000 purchase price. And I am putting this on FHA type scenarios. FHA is going to require a 3.5% down or allow a 3.5% down, whatever direction you want to take that in your verbiage. So on a $640,000 purchase price, now keep in mind this is four units. You can see the picture. This is the actual picture that we stole off the internet. But down payment of 22,400. So yes, that seems pretty steep, but the alternative is 20%. If you want to just buy an investment property and not live in one, it's 20%. Do the math. 64,000 times two is basically what you're looking at. So 22,000 is pretty small when it comes down to it. And obviously we have closing fees. We will negotiate the closing fees into the purchase contract so the seller pays them. So it's like a win-win, right? Um, okay, so estimated monthly payment, and we have verified taxes. I verified taxes with the county, and I just estimated home insurance, which is completely a number I've pulled out of thin air. And then the monthly mortgage insurance that is there that's required because you don't have a 20% down payment. That puts your monthly payment about 5,040 all in. This is 4 units. You have to live in one of them, remember. So we're only receiving about $1,000 per month on the other 3 units. And so the income coming off of that is 3 grand. Do the math, you're paying 2,040. Okay. Not so pretty, right? Okay. Just keep that in mind. It's not so pretty. Why would I do this? I agree. All right. Well, let's go to the next one. How about if we just choose to wait a year? I'm just going to see what happens. Our best friend, Donald Trump, has done everything to make every world nation mad. So maybe there's a chance that our interest rates are going to come down. Maybe we're going to have a housing crash. We really have no idea. But let's just for the sake of argument, let's just assume things just stay even. They don't do anything crazy. They just stay even. And we only have a 1% appreciation in 1 year. That is a really low appreciation. The average is definitely higher than that, but we just want to, in our awesome scenario, we're going to choose a 1% appreciation. So this is the cost of waiting for a year. Appreciation loss is 1% of 640,000. Just the appreciation alone, you would have gained a $6,400 appreciation. I hope that makes sense. It's 1% of whatever our purchase price is / appraised value. And we assume that it's just going to increase in property value at 1%, which is $6,400. So we've got that on the table. And then you've paid a chunk of money into principal because on your monthly payment, you're paying a portion of principal, a portion of interest, taxes and insurance and all that. But you've paid down $6,100, which is really small. But for this scenario, this sounds really nice. So $6,100 towards our principal. And then this is where we have the little asterisk, consult with your CPA, but we're going to just throw this in here because you do have tax gains by having a Schedule E on your tax returns and being able to depreciate your asset. Definitely talking to your CPA. This is just a basic rule of thumb at a 24% tax bracket. So don't take this as gospel. If you screenshot this, you'll see consult with the CPA in there. So I've covered myself. I'm not an accountant. This is definitely for informational purposes only. But if you're at a 24% tax bracket, the estimated savings on that is about $10,000. And then you've also got rent payments that have come into your pocket as well, which is $36,000 worth of rent. So your estimated cost of waiting is $40,000. Now, does that feel extreme? Possibly. But the reality behind that is the logic behind that. The reality behind it is the longer you wait, even with a teeny, teeny, tiny appreciation, you're losing money. Maybe it's not 40 grand. Maybe it's only 10. Maybe it's not 40 grand. Maybe it's only 20. But the tax benefits of having a Schedule E, so you've got the ability to depreciate your asset on top of starting to build your financial wealth here. Okay, so thanks, Jacob, for taking the time to put stuff on the internet so I could steal it. Let's talk about this one. This is Rexburg. This one is listed by Jesse Thomas. I also talked to him about this too. This particular one would require married housing. The thing about Rexburg is we have to remember is BYU Idaho is up there. It's a 4-year college. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has a huge footprint up there, and they are working on building a second temple in that area. It's a pretty small area for that temple. I have my predictions of what I think that area is going to do. It's up. It's gonna go up. Now maybe it'll sit level for a little bit. Maybe we'll dip a little bit. I don't think so, but it's up. The trajectory is up for Rexburg. This one definitely does not cash flow as much as you would want because it is a rental and you're in a huge rental area. But let's just go through this scenario. 675,000 listing price, down payment 3.5% again, which is at 23,625. The estimated mortgage payment with taxes, insurance, and all of that jazz estimated in there is 4,862. Your rental income on 900 is about 900 per unit. And remember, we have to live in one. 3 can be rented out. So that's a total of 4 in case you couldn't do quick math. So we're only receiving $2,700 a month in this. So it leaves your outgoing $2,162, which once again, you're thinking that's $2,100 in housing every month. You're right. You're right. I'm going to make this full circle. So don't panic on me. I'm really trying to smash you before I give you the why you want to do this sales pitch. Okay. So thank you, Jesse, for this. We're going to jump over to this other one in Idaho Falls. This is the one that is actually currently being marketed as a for sale by owner, but I reached out to Shane and Laura Weiser and said, "Hey, what do you know?" And Shane replied back and he says, "I know of one. Let me get you some information." So he helped me out with some information on this one. So Shane and Laura Weiser, if you don't know them, they're they are awesome team. Okay, so 6327 North Freedom Road here in Idaho Falls. $850,000 list price, and that puts our 3.5% at 29,750. Estimated monthly mortgage is 6352. Once again, that is with taxes and insurance and mortgage insurance estimated in there. And on this one, I don't know where the rents are at. I kind of tried to do a little bit of research, and I feel like it's for 3 bedroom, 2 bath, you're at like 1350 per unit. Now this is where I'm looking at this one. Okay, so single people or married people who maybe are okay with having roommates, but I'm going to cater this to a little bit of the single people. Your fourth unit, the one you live in, there's nothing stopping you from renting out the bedrooms. So this is a 3 bedroom, 2 bath home that you're going to have. So you take a room and the bathroom, and so you're living like a king with your 1 bedroom, 1 bath studio type concept. And then you're renting out the other bedroom and the other bedroom, and they're sharing a bathroom, and you could receive rental income off just renting out those bedrooms. Now, I can't count that for qualification, but for the purpose of helping you have a lower payment, a 3 bedroom, 2 bath unit, this is real. And you got to think about it this way. If you are a single man or woman living in your mom's basement or living at home still because you just can't afford to be on your own, this is a perfect opportunity because your extra 2 bedrooms you could rent for 400 bucks. That's really cheap rent for a single person that's just wanting just get out of mom's house. Just try to dip your toe out into the real world a little bit more. Housing is killer right now. It is absolutely killer. For people to be living with their parents and having multi-generational homes right now, it's the new cool thing. But there's also a point that it'd be kind of fun to just be on your own too. So it would be probably pretty easy for you to vet some tenants to actually live with you. Um, so where that breaks down is if you were willing to rent out the other 2 bedrooms to some buddies, to some college kids, to some friends, to people you vetted to make sure that they were okay, your actual monthly payment that you're going in the hole every month, right, is like 1,500 bucks. Once again, we're going to come full circle, so don't panic on me. Yes, on all three of these, you're going in the hole every single month, but this is where it starts to get fun. Let's go over the cost of waiting on this one. And I'm going to put it more into a standard appreciation. Your appreciation in most markets, not in crazy land, but in most markets is about 3%. Okay, that's kind of just the standard. So I went ahead and used that 850 purchase price at a 3% appreciation. You're going to make $26,000, 25,500 in year one just by owning that property and a standard depreciation of 3%. Now, keep in mind, property values, if you look at them over historically, clear back to the 1970s, they do this down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up. But if you look at the overall curve, it's up. So maybe we'll have these little dips, but the dip always comes up a little bit higher. So keep that in mind. Real estate is a long game. It's a long game. Okay. So then we go through this weird calculation that yes, you can guarantee. I used ChatGPT to help me calculate some of this stuff. And then I reviewed it to make sure it made sense. But your first year of principal that you've paid is about $7,000. So yes, at least money that you've put into your monthly payment is going somewhere. So you've paid your principal down just a little bit. Your tax benefit, when you throw that a depreciable piece in there, once again, talk to your CPA. I forgot to put the caveat, the little asterisk next to that, but just the depreciable side of this at a 24% tax bracket, you're $16,000 in tax savings there. Talk to your CPA. But and then your rent payments that you'll be receiving is 58,200. The cost of waiting, 60,000. Once again, an extreme number. Once again, I have one more slide that's going to make you realize, holy smokes, I better be jumping into the real estate market. So here we go on that. Where's our break-even point? What you remember from all of these slides is slide 1, you were in the hole 2 grand. Slide 2, you were in the hole 2 grand. Slide 3, you were in the hole 15, or not, yeah, to $1,500. Sorry, I was going to say 15 grand, but that wasn't right. But you're in the whole 1,500 with what you're paying out every month. You're right. If you put your budget together, you say, my mortgage payment's 6 grand and I'm only receiving this much money back. Yeah, obviously part of that is your housing payment because you're living on your own, but it's still money that you're like, oh, am I really prepped to be able to make a $2,000 mortgage payment? Am I really prepped to make 1,500? If you can, do it. And here's why. If you take that 6327 North Freedom Road, your break-even point is 7 years. So at the point that you hit 7 years, based off of the standard appreciation of 3%, when you get to that 7 year mark, your $2,300 you're putting in is coming back out in appreciation. So you've hit your break even point. Now, it's not money in, money out of your bank account. So when you're thinking about this, like, okay, I'm writing a check out of my personal bank account for $2,300 to go towards this mortgage because the rental income is coming in and paying the difference. You're not seeing a deposit of $2,300 coming in your bank account. What you're seeing is an increase to the appreciation of that property by $2,300, which means, which you're not going to do because this is not in your best interest if you're trying to grow a portfolio. But that $2,300 that's kind of going into your bank account you can't touch in appreciation. The definition of appreciation, if you were to turn around and sell that, you're going to get what you've put in back out. So I've put in this much money over the last 7 years. When I sell it, I'm going to get that back. So it's a break-even point of 7 years at the 7 year mark. Everything past 7 years is gravy. All right, that's our goal. Where's our break-even point? So if we wanted to calculate all of this, tax benefits, renters, and all that jazz, we could figure out that break-even point. As soon as you hit that break-even point, that property's doing its thing. It's going to make itself, it's just going to make itself some money. Obviously, you're going to have to set aside some money for repairs and stupid tenants that break things, but that's okay. You also have to remember this is assuming you've stayed here. You probably haven't stayed here, which means you've turned around and bought another property to get going on the appreciation and all of that stuff. Now you've got your fourth unit receiving more rental income too. So the break even comes in assuming you've stayed in this home for that whole 7 years, which you probably haven't. So your break even point could probably be a little bit lower just because you are going to have that fourth unit from somebody else's bank account making that payment with you. So you're definitely not going in the hole quite so much. Real estate is a long game. You have to remember that. Real estate is a long game. Okay. So that is that's probably my high-end presentation. Oh, there's something I wanted to point out. Okay, so when I called the county on this one, I called Bonneville County and I said, okay, listen, we have what's called a homeowner's exemption in this area. So if you're living in a home as a primary residence, they actually will reduce your tax liability on your property taxes. And so I called them and I said, hey, if we have a 4 unit home and somebody's actually going to occupy one of those units as a primary residence, do they get any tax break? Yes, they'll let us take 25% off of that property tax bill on the homeowner's exemption piece of it. So instead of being taxed at the full 100%, you're actually going to get a little bit of a deduction because you're occupying one of those units. So that actually will bring those property taxes down if you file for that partial homeowner's exemption in the state of Idaho, which I think most states, I'm licensed in quite a few states, and most of them have some sort of tax break if you're a primary residence. Anyways, I'm really excited. I really am passionate about this. The thing you have to remember is real estate is a long game. So as you sit down with your budget and you start putting this together, if you start tucking money away for a down payment and you can get that 3.5% down payment, that's step one. Absolutely step one. Ideally, the more you put down, the faster that cash flows, the faster your break-even point comes, and it just works out to be a win-win. But at the end of the day, think this way. This is what I lecture my boys with. I've lectured them and lectured them and lectured them. One day they're going to do it. I think that they're just scared. But just think, let's say 25. Let's say I'm 25 years old. And I decide I'm going to do this. 25 years old, I buy this property. I put my tenants in there. I'm going in the hole every month. I know that. But I'm going to work really hard for 10 years to be able to make up the difference of where I'm short on those payments that I'm paying out every month in regards to my rent coming in and my mortgage going out. 25 years old, I'm buying a primary residence, minimum down payment, and then I'm going to do everything that I can to just stockpile money, just extra jobs. Don't go to Starbucks. Don't go to those extra places. Eat a very, very rigid diet. Just be really smart with your money for 3 or 4 years. Every year, buy a property. So 25, I buy a primary residence and then I roll it, then I live in it for a year. Then I roll it at year two into an investment property. Then I buy another primary residence multifamily and I move in. There's a year. I'm at year two, I own two. At year three, I'm doing it again. At year four, I'm doing it again. At year five, I'm doing it again. By the age of 30, because I have done everything I can to buckle down, at the age of 30, I have 5 rental properties completely mortgaged. They have mortgages on them. Some of them probably don't cash flow. Be looking for deals. Some of these will cash flow. I found what was on the market, so I couldn't really find one to cash flow. They do exist if you're ready to go. But I have 5 properties at the age of 30. Okay, 5 properties. Fast forward 30 years, I do nothing but just make those payments. I do nothing but let those renters help me make those payments. That's my job. At the age of 60, I am retiring with that as my retirement income. So screw Social Security, say it's going to be completely gone. Let's go back here and just do a quick little math calculation here. My rental income on Stay Street, 4 grand a month. My rental income on Ann Street. Now remember, I have 4 units rented out at this point. I'm not having to live in them as a primary residence. 4,000 on property one, 3,600 on property two. That's $7,600 a month. This one, let's just for the sake of easy math, let's just say 1,500 because obviously rental prices will go up too. 1,500 times 4 is $6,000. 4,000, 3,600. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money for you to retire on. And sure, you've got to set aside some for maintenance. It is, that's just the right thing to do is to set aside some for maintenance. But the worst thing you can do is wait. Get yourself prepared so that if a good deal comes, some of these will cash flow. If we are watching, we can get some of these to cash flow. If you just buckle down and just stash money, stash money, maybe you can put a 5% down payment. Maybe you can put a 7% down payment. Every little chunk of money that you can put down as a down payment helps you. It's just that simple. So the cost of waiting is pretty expensive. Now, I just wanted to show you this. This is actually really cool. If you want to scan this, is great. We have a FinFit app, which if you have no idea where you're going to start, you have no idea what you're going to do, I don't even know what I'm doing. How do I do a budget? How do I even save? What is my credit score? Do I even have a credit report? Do I have any of that stuff? This app is set up for you to get everything lined out. So obviously there's some things in there, your home value, you can track your home value, but this is set up to prep you for home ownership. So we have this is my QR code, so scan that and yeah, let's rock and roll and buy some investment properties. So I love 4 unit properties because you can live in one. And my advice is this. Try to do this at the younger age. When you start having a family, you can disrupt your little babies. Your little babies can move from home to home to home for a few, 3 or 4 years. But once your little babies start kindergarten, try to have a home established for them. That's my advice. So investing in real estate right now while you're young, no brainer. You can work a couple jobs to pick up that extra chunk of money needed to make those payments and be smart. Be smart. So let's get you on a good path. But anyways, if anybody has any questions, I don't think my contact information is on here, but you can look me up. I'm at Regal Mortgage. Deborah Criddle, you can search Deborah Criddle online, Deborah Criddle mortgage person, and you're going to find me. So there's only one other Deborah Criddle in this world, and she's a horse person in England. So if you find somebody that's training horses, she can't help you get home loans, and I can't help you train horses. So the right Deborah Criddle will help you find a home. So anyways, that's all I've got. If you've got any questions, I would love you to reach out to me. And yeah, so thanks for coming and seeing Pops and Products. Have a good night.